91. That's it for Wednesday night. Thursday, sunny, hot and humid, 91. Then Friday and over the weekend, high temperatures near 93. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
We do have cloudy skies this hour, 82 degrees in Florissant, 80 in St. Peters, and 82 as well downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Brought to you by Jack in the Box.
Spending 2 hours staring at the back of someone's bumper isn't the best way to end your day. So Jack in the Box is giving you a bonus with their new Bonus Jack Combo. Fries, a drink, and a burger with your choice of 1, 2, or 3 patties, starting at just $4.49. Get so much more.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. And by Anderson Hospital, a Newsweek World's Best Hospital. Now the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Pozo swings, base hit right center. The Cardinals lead. Hampson scores. Newbar makes third. 3-2 Cardinals in the ninth.
You know, someday I'm going to bounce my grandkids on my knee, and I'm going to say, I first saw Joel Pozo in Port St. Lucie hit a home run. I was calling the game. Let me tell you a little story about this guy. What a performance yesterday by the Cardinals to get the job done in L.A. with Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji, and the manager of the Cardinals, Oliver Marmol. I'm Tom Ackerman. You know how I feel about Joel Pozo. Came through again, big time. This guy's a 500 hitter as a pinch hitter. What a performance by him last night.
It definitely was. Good to see you guys again, man. He continues to do it, huh? You pick spots for him, and he comes through. I believe I was told 6 for 12. He's driven in 7 runs or so. He's done an incredible job of just coming off the bench. It's a difficult task, man. I was talking to Sweeney about this, who did it quite a bit over his career, of how difficult it is to come off the bench and actually have productive at-bats. And this guy, because his ability to put the ball in play, he doesn't have a whole lot of swing miss in his game. It plays well, but he's not scared of the moment, that's for sure.
Oli, just a quick follow-up. But by the way, that was a really entertaining game last night. So it was worth staying up for here in the central time zone. I wanted to ask you just a follow-up on Pozo. How did you guys find him? And, also from the standpoint of, some of the best teams in baseball seem to find guys like that a lot. And to talk about the future of the Cardinals, Heim Bloom, whatever, the ability to kind of find those little diamonds in the rough. But how specifically did you guys find Pozo?
Yeah, so we were in spring training. We knew we were thin on the catching depth. We were trying to see what else was down below, and a couple minor league staff members, Mo, came into the room and said, hey, there's this guy Pozo down there that you guys have not taken a look at. Would it be worth bringing him up for a little bit of time before we break camp, just so you guys lay eyes and figure out if you're comfortable or not, if anything were to happen in the catch position, for this guy to be one of the next guys up. So we invite him up to camp, and his demeanor and overall just the way he carried himself, you can just tell that he was loving life. I mean, he approaches every day as an absolute gift of being at the big league level because of his background. And he showed well, man. He had some life to him behind the plate. He was assertive. He had energy. And you can just tell he was comfortable in his own skin and confident, and swung the bat really well. So we kept throwing him in there to take a peek, and every time we did, man, it was just fun to watch him. So once we needed a catcher up here, we felt comfortable calling him up, and he's done a really nice job. So proud of him. There's a lot to be proud of there. And if you familiarize yourself with his story, man, it's cool to see what he's doing. It really is.
Oli, another thing real quick. It's an interesting time for you as a manager, to say the least, having the 3 relievers traded at the deadline. The team record-wise hadn't been going very well for a time. But with so much of this now, the focus turning to 2026 and sort of, and I'm not saying like right now, I mean, Heim Bloom's not making any trades, but there's obviously an eye towards 2026 about getting the players you have better, still determining who's going to make the cut, so to speak, or maybe you consider trading. There's a lot at stake for 2026. So how do you as the manager How do you make your lineup choices with that in mind?
Gosh, I was asked this recently. I think it was yesterday by one of our writers, and not a whole lot changes from my perspective. If you look at what I've been tasked with this year, it was make sure that there's growth within our young guys, our young core, and that we continue to our staff be head down and developing them to get them to the next level of their career, and win as many games along the way. So not a whole lot changes in being able to give these guys opportunities and continue to do exactly that, which is grow the heck out of them. So I was asked basically, hey, what does this look like moving to next year? I mean, I feel like the whole year has been that we've just been able to win a little bit more games than people expected, which made it interesting. But nothing from my seat changes in giving these guys opportunity. Now with our pen, having Matts and Phil and Helsley gone, it does provide a ton of opportunity for some young guys to show what they're capable of doing, and we'll mix and match and see them in different environments and leverage situations to see how they respond to it. I mean, you look at outside of JoJo, there is a lot of dudes in that pen with less than a year of service. So it's a great opportunity for them, and that's the way they should view it. From a position player standpoint, the rotation is not easy, and we can talk a little bit about it, Bernie, but you have Jordan, who needs playing time. You need Newt, who needs playing time. You got Burley out there. You got Vic, who's trying to figure it out, and you're rotating these guys through. But by rule, they only let me play 3 of them in the outfield. So on any given day, you're going to be mad about the one that's sitting, and you can ask, why does he have an off day today? It's because I have to sit in one of them. So in my opinion, Burley's done a phenomenal job, deserves to be an everyday player. He has, you talk about a player that has been head down and just taking advantage of every opportunity given. He's one of them, and he has solidified himself as an everyday player. And then we need to rotate the other guys in order to give them at bats, and hopefully they start to take to it. So that's the way I view it at the moment.
So as we've been talking about this season and what the intent was, the purpose of it, I think it becomes clearer after the trade deadline what the final 48 games is for. Do you, or I guess I'll ask it this way: how many of the players approximately do you feel like, and we're talking about the younger guys, relatively inexperienced, how many of them do you feel like you're confident that you and the organization know who they are now, or as opposed to really needing these final 2 months to figure it out? You don't have to name names. Because
I hear you. That's a great question. You have a pretty good sense of the majority of the guys of what they are and what they can do and what they can't do. But that doesn't mean the next 2 months aren't extremely important and continuing to evaluate growth, because our job's to get them better. So if there's something we feel like they can't do or haven't shown the ability to be consistent with it, then it's my job, it's our staff's job to find consistency in that. But you are starting to find out what the strengths and weaknesses are and what you're dealing with and how do they respond to pressure and the things of that nature. But yes, the next 2 months are definitely important.
What do you see?
I mean, take JC, for example, right? He came up the first time and lit it up, was taking some really good at bats, driving the baseball all over the field, making a lot of contact. Like, the chase rate was high, and we needed to kind of get him to do a better job with just decision making there. But for the most part, man, you look up and you see his average and his OPS, and you feel good about what he was doing. Well, his second time around hasn't gone his way. So you can't get too high or too low. That's just a perfect example of not being sure just yet of what he's capable of doing.
Sure. And I actually was going to bring him up because third base is interesting to me. And I don't know how long Arenado is going to be out, but maybe you can clue us in on that. But third base, just how do you see that position in general? It seems like you have a few candidates there.
We do. And I'd like to continue to rotate them. When you look at Gorman, and I can say this because it's been a conversation with him, he needs to continue to work on his overall agility and mobility around the bag and just being able to get to certain balls and just move better. And that's something that he's going to continue to work on. And so JC, he gets to more. And Kapika, he made a couple plays last night that were really nice plays. But offensively, he's got some stuff that he's got to tighten up as well. So you give him a decent amount of opportunity and rotate the two of them and hope that it starts to become a little bit more consistent on both sides of the baseball.
If I could follow, and again, Oli, I understand the situation you're in. You're not thinking about, geez, what am I going to do in 2026? I get that, but so please have a little patience with me. You always do. When we look at the Arenado situation, it's a tough one for everybody, including him. But as you project ahead, we can't say for sure what's going to happen this winter. I'm sure Chaim Bloom's going to make some moves, but you're going to have Weatherholt entering the picture. You're still going to have Gorman. You're going to have Donovan. You're going to have Wynn. You're going to have a lot of guys. I mean, with all due respect to a Hall of Fame player, I mean, Nato offensively is clearly on the downside, and I'm not sure how much you could afford to play him and keep him as busy as he's used to, but also give playing time to some of your guys that are more future oriented. I know you're in a tough spot. It's a tough question for you to answer, but the best you can, how do you look ahead about Nolan Arenado's role?
It is a very difficult question. And the only way to answer it is while he's here, he needs to play. And until that's not the case, then, I mean, you're looking at a guy that you need to continue to put out there based on him being the leader of this club and being an everyday player and a Hall of Fame player. And every at bat he has, man, I know it hasn't looked good this year, but I'm hopeful that it turns and it turns and it turns because of how hard he works. I mean, I've yet to come across someone that works as hard as this guy. It is extremely impressive. But yeah, it does make it difficult when you're trying to think of future and what does that look like? Is it here? Is it not here? Are you wanting to mix in the young guys? And that's something that I think starting in spring training, we knew was going to make it difficult to get Gorman the everyday at bats to find out what he's all about. So it hasn't been the easiest to rotate these guys in, but I feel like we've done as good of a job as we can with the amount of guys that need at bats. Yeah.
I know you mentioned we're talking about Arenado here, and I don't think we talked about when exactly you expect him back. Do you have a good idea of that right now?
I don't. I'll have more of an idea, most likely, either when I get to the stadium today or tomorrow, as far as some form of a timeline of rehab and then getting back to it. So, but at the moment, no, I don't have a meaningful update for you.
So how do you handle somebody like Gorman? Because you look back at his last few seasons, and he does have quite a few plate appearances. It's over 1,400, which is a lot, but he has still never played as an everyday starter a full season. That's the big leagues though, right? Right. So how is the difference in evaluation when it comes to somebody like that? Because not everybody grows at the same pace.
No. And that's what you don't want to miss on is exactly what you just said, because it is over 1,400 at bats. When you talk about he hasn't been consistent when it comes to playing time, there's been a decent amount of runs there, meaningful runs that give you an opportunity to show what you're all about. You can say the same thing about Burleson, but at some point you make it impossible for the manager to take you out of the lineup. That's what makes you an everyday player when you're young. Let's get serious, okay? Like you play enough to show what you're capable of doing, and then, man, just make it really damn hard for people to envision the lineup without you in it. And there's been certain guys, Donnie and Burley and others, that have done a nice job of that. So that's what makes the big leagues very difficult is just taking advantage of the opportunities given.
Oli Marmol, Cardinals manager, is with us. Our conversation with him is sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. Cards Dodgers tonight at 9:10. We'll come back with another segment on the Gashouse Gang with Oli right after this.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath.
Marilyn Faser recommends 3-day kitchen and bath.
Working with Dave was an absolute delight. Once everything was scheduled, everything went perfect.
Have you ever had a remodel done before?
about 25 years ago, and it was a nightmare.
Was 3-Day Kitchen and Bath on time?
There was no delays. Everything was on time. All the deadlines were met. Everything came at once.
Would you recommend 3-Day Kitchen and Bath to your friends and neighbors?
I highly recommend them to anybody.
Top quality products and craftsmanship in 3 days or less. Call 3-Day Kitchen and Bath. Always on time as promised, at the price promised, and your job comes with complete satisfaction guarantee. No ifs, ands, or buts. Visit their website at 3daykitchen.com. That's 3daykitchen.com.
3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. Stronger than ever.
Back on the Gashouse Gang with the Cardinals manager, Oliver Marmol. I'm Tom Ackerman, along with Chris Ranji and Bernie Miklas. We're glad you're with us. Cardinals won 3-2. Joel Pozo had a hit in the top of the ninth to give the Cardinals the lead, but there was a lot of work to be done in the ninth inning with that top of the order. Man, oh man, Ohtani and then Betts and then Freeman, and you summon JoJo Romero. Nootbaar makes an unbelievable play on that hit by would-be hit by Betts, but also Romero. I mean, if those guys are there in the eighth, you're going Romero there, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. And that's, I think, the way we have to play this is just give them the best chance without having Helsley and Phil here. You got to give those guys the best chance to get a lane that's favorable to them. So if it's a couple lefties in there, then JoJo has the eighth, and we'll close with the righty, depending on who's available with Leahy and O'Brien and others. But we'll give those guys an opportunity. But if it lines up like yesterday where you can take the eighth through a righty lane and bail them at the top at Ohtani with the lefty, then we do it that way.
Oli, Mason Wynn, he was, I don't remember the exact time frame, but there was a time where he was really scuffling it at the plate. And he's been on fire, and I think we're all aware of the potential and the talent there. What is the key for him to be good offensively, which we know he's capable of, and maybe avoiding those down times? What does he have to work on? What do you guys try to reinforce in terms of reminding him of, like, what's the key to success for him?
For me, it's simple. It's do it all. Do everything, and don't get too fixated on just one way of creating production. And sometimes, and this isn't just for Mason, it's a lot of young hitters that are coming up. They see how important slugging is and hitting doubles and homers, and the easiest way to try to do that is to pull the ball. But his ability to not fixate on that over the last stretch, you're seeing hits all over the field. He pulls that pitch yesterday for a homer. He uses the middle of the field. He takes his shot backside with 2 strikes. He has a very interesting and amazing skill set, and it's the ability to do all of it. He can hit 15, 20 homers a year. He can drive in runs, hit doubles, take his singles. He can bunt for hits if he wants. Like, his skill set is it's hard to teach, but he can do it all. And when he has the mindset of picking the spots of when to do each thing, there's times to slug and there's times to hit. And when he knows when to do each, man, we're seeing a very, very just dynamic player.
For Victor Scott, beginning of the season, that March and April, not bad at all offensively, but since then it's been a real struggle for him, and it seems to have gotten worse as the months have gone by. What is different about him now as opposed to what he was doing at the very beginning of the season?
Chris, you say Vic?
Yep.
Yeah, it's part of being a big leaguer. You come up and you do certain things well, and then the opposing side veers from giving you a chance to do that, and you're going to have to prove that you can do it differently. And it's just cat and mouse game constantly of remaining a big leaguer. And until you prove that you can combat it, they're just going to eat you alive with the same style of pitching. So he's aware of what the opposition is trying to do to him. He's trying to work through a couple things on the approach side and on the mechanic side in order to stay out of the air. That base hit he hit off of Suarez in San Diego, that low line drive that just that's the type of swing he needs to try to repeat every time. I will say from a process standpoint, probably the most growth I've seen out of a player this year of coming in, being super athletic, relying on your talent, and having somewhat of an approach to where he's at today. I mean, this guy's dialed in with really preparing for the opposing pitcher, understanding the pen, how he needs to attack the pen. Just he keeps this notebook of everything he wants to do that day, from defense to base run to tips and tells to his offensive approach. And it's a matter of time before it translates. But from a just daily process and commitment to attention to detail, gosh, man, there's been an incredible amount of growth with Vic.
Victor Scott playing a lot of outfield along with Nootbaar. You mentioned you only get 3 of them, so you're going to end up moving guys around. Let's get into some of these questions that are coming in. I always like going into the clubhouse type of questions, and Milia B had one that it was reported you met with each player individually and saying, you don't have to share individual conversations, but in general, what is the process like after a trade deadline, looking ahead?
You meet with a lot of guys before, and guys that are thinking that they're being considered for a trade, and just making sure that they're in the right headspace. So you have a lot of individual conversations there. And then after, I met with every player. I met with the entire bullpen collectively. I've met with every position player individually. And then we met as an entire group. But part of it, with the individual meetings, man, you want to provide real clarity as to what the next 2 months look like for each player. From expectation of playing time, expectation of what we would like to see from a performance standpoint, adjustments being made, and make sure the player doesn't have any questions for me that can kind of put them in a better headspace to approach their game. So you meet with each guy and you just set the expectation for what the standard is, because it's easy to go, all right, we lost our pretty much the top 3 dudes in that pen that close games for us. What's expected from this group moving forward? And for me, it doesn't change, man. I see this as an incredible opportunity for you to be the next guy to step in there and do the job. So creating clear standards and expectations with each guy individually was the goal for that. And then continuing, that's a young bullpen, man. And part of it is just sitting them down and instilling that there's an identity to be created there as a group, and what I want that to look like. So I enjoy doing that part of the job. And so, yeah, that's what kind of went into each one of those.
Oli, I wanted to ask you about this. And again, it's kind of combining now, also looking ahead, and it's more about a team structure, team style, or whatever you want to call it. And my point here is not to try to throw the Milwaukee Brewers in your face. It really isn't. But
yeah,
I was looking at something I found really interesting. The Brewers have only hit like 3 more home runs than you have, and the Brewers are like 22nd in the majors in doubles. So my point is they're really not dependent on power, and they're finding a way to score all kinds of runs. A lot of it is sequencing, and maybe some of that is just luck. That's what the sabermetric guys would say. But they're number 1 in the National League, 2nd overall in stolen bases, and the way they advance the bases, the way they do a lot of the so-called little things. My question is, because I had to give you the background, my question is, do you have the athleticism to where you could try to steal more bases, maybe be more aggressive on the bases? Do you have a more small ball capability than we've seen? Like, how do you close that gap to like where you can score more runs in other ways? And I'm not implying you're overly dependent on home runs. I'm not doing that at all. But if a team doesn't hit a bunch of home runs, they got to find other ways to score. What do you think about all that?
Probably one of my bigger disappointments in our inability to do that well to this point it's not that we're dependent on the homer as much as we have guys truly trying to figure out how to be big leaguers at the moment. And we're not far from being able to do what you just described, but we are taking our hits right now and learning how to do that and being consistent with that. That inning we had in the ninth there where we got Suarez in the game in San Diego has to be part of our identity. Has to be. Where guys are short of the ball, they're trying to move the ball all over the field using just the middle of the field, taking your hits and not trying to do much more than that. We are at our best when we're collecting hits, and then a guy pops a double, triple homer. But that has to be a big part of our identity, and we're continuing to work through that with our guys. Part of it is getting them just to get to that average point of understanding how to take that approach and be consistent with that approach. When you talk about Vic, he would love to do that. He can't at the moment. He's trying like hell to do that and be consistent with doing that. So it's not because he's not trying or he is stubborn in what we're wanting to asking of him. It's strictly he's working so hard to be that style of player, and it's a matter of time before he is. But that's where we have to, allow him a little bit more time to get there. Walker's no different. There's several guys in that bucket that, you want to see that consistent approach, but it's going to take time for them to be good enough to do that. That's just a reality.
Another question coming from YouTube. Somebody wants to know about giving Leahy a chance to start. He did have that outing in Colorado where he pitched into the fourth. And if this is about 2026 and knowing Michaelis is not going to be here, should you find out about somebody like Leahy in the rotation?
I think he can start. I think he has the pitch arsenal to do that. You also have to monitor his overall workload. Halfway through the year, he was probably the one that had a red flag of on pace for more than what we would want. So if you throw him into that rotation, I think you start butting up against that pretty quickly. But yes, that is an option. I like some of the adjustments he's made. This is a guy that he has enough pitches to get through a lineup several times through, and he has confidence in being able to do that as well. So I think it's a fair question and one that we continue to talk through.
Oli, you take a look at Herrera, and there are a lot of questions in this stream about Herrera and how he's played in the outfield. Boy, he's really something at the plate, isn't he? I mean, he's like a throwback to me at the plate. The way hitters used to be, they can hit for power and for high average, has that great approach. But what about his adjustments in the outfield? How has he worked there?
Yeah, that's interesting. You say throwback hitter. That's just being a good hitter.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like it used to be, you looked at the league leaders and everybody was hitting 300 or above, and there's just a handful of them now.
Yeah, average fastball has gone up through the roof.
Yes, it has.
Guys are blown out for a reason. Everything's max effort, and it's a lot more difficult to be able to do that. That's why you see less of them. But to your specific question, I think he's done well in the outfield. He's athletic, and he's worked hard at it. I mean, he's out there every day with John Jay, just making sure he's getting better. He was tested a little more his last game, having to go back on a ball, that low line drive he had to come in on. The ball down the line he had to cut off and keep the guy to first. So we saw a little bit more action this last game, and that was good to see. And then it gives him confidence. Once you go back on a ball and you have to go up against the wall, once you do it once, you get more comfortable doing twice. And the low line drive. So he's starting to feel it a little bit. We'll continue to give him an opportunity to do that. It's not going to be easy with the rotation we already talked about. But I do think we need to take a look at it.
We've got time for one more, Burn, if you want to throw one in there.
Just what is your hope moving forward, realistic hope about your starting pitchers that you have? And maybe I'll leave Michaelis out of this, and I'm not trying to be, petty. I'm just saying because a lot of the guys you have now are going to be part of next season.
Sure, I understand.
Time's running short, but what do you want to see in terms of each one of these guys needing to improve? Can they improve? What do they have to do to improve?
Yeah. I love that our three young guys are lined up back to back to back and being able to see them one night after another in Libby going, and then McGreevy, and then Palante. Specific to those guys, Libby's done a nice job with what he's about and who he is and his preparation in between starts. I really like his process and overall approach to that. In between starts, he does a phenomenal job of giving himself the best shot and using his bullpens in between starts appropriately to attack either what he didn't do well or what he wants to continue to improve on moving forward. So I'm happy there. Just continuing to take a look at McGreevy. You look at how San Diego attacked him at home, man. Those righties and Tatis and Machado and Bogarts, they all just stayed inside of his sinker, shot him the other way. They had a very, very good approach against him. Cronenworth used a big part of the field, and there's not a whole lot he did about it that outing. He goes back to San Diego. They throw up some runs on him early, and then you can see he started blowing up some guys inside with the sinker, moving their feet a little bit, which kind of opened up the other side of the plate for him. And that's a good adjustment for a young guy, especially with, you got to think of, put yourself in his shoes. We have all the hit by pitches. The last thing he wants to do is kind of flare that up again and hit Machado or hit Bogarts or Tatis. But he said, the heck with it, man. It's part of my game. I got to move these guys' feet. He does it. He blows up Bogarts, and he starts to get on a little bit of a roll and starts to feel himself those last 3 innings. You can tell the demeanor, the overall presence and confidence was different the last 3 innings compared to the first 3. That's a great adjustment for a young guy. Those are the things you're looking for, because then you double down on that. You give him some love for it and allow him to have that level of confidence going into his next one. And then with Palante, man, we talked a decent amount about it. It's going to be, there's not many guys in the league that are starters that have a 3-pitch mix. At times even a 4-pitch mix. Like, you start to break down starters across the league that have 4 pitches or less, and there's not many of them. So he's going to have to land his spin at a high rate in order to survive with that, because if you can eliminate one of them and then he's just a slider fastball mix, and that makes it difficult. So the sinker has helped. The curveball, when he's able to land it and expand with it, has helped. But that's the growth you're trying to see out of Palante.
We've had a couple of people ask about Zach
Sure.
Thompson, who's had the lat injury going back to February, I guess,
Yeah.
right? So what is and he was supposed to start throwing soon. What is the plan for him?
All I can say up to this point, until I get a further update today, is that there's been a setback there, and I'll have a much better understanding as to what that's going to look like. Yeah.
We appreciate it as always, the info that you provide us, the insight. It's always great, Oli, to have you. Congratulations on the win last night, and good luck
Appreciate
tonight
it.
against the Dodgers.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Good to see you.
Take care.
Good to see you. Oli Marmol. Our conversation with him sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. Don't go anywhere. We will break things down right here on the Gashouse Gang when we come back. You're listening to the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
At 5, when others are running out of steam, the Redbird Rush Hour hits the gas. Kevin Wheeler, Matt Pauley, and Bernie Miklasz bring sharp analysis, fresh insight, and no recycled takes. Real baseball talk for fans who know the game. Redbird Rush Hour, weekdays at 5 on 104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of St. Louis, the unrivaled voice of baseball.
Named one of Newsweek's world's best hospitals for 2025, Anderson Hospital is your hospital for life, delivering exceptional, compassionate care to families across the Metro East. From emergency services to specialized treatments, our dedicated team supports your health at every stage. Experience world-class care close to home. Discover the difference at andersonhospital.org.
It is 84 degrees and cloudy in St. Louis. The AccuWeather Real Feel is 97. Going to be humid through Thursday. Ugh. Weather brought to you by Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son, Mike. In addition to the comp case, there's a product case too. Other times, the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
How many of you think taxes are going to go up in the future? And if they do, who will be hit the hardest? Maybe it's you, headed for retirement. You've been saving in that 401k or IRA, and that money has never been taxed. And Uncle Sam is looking at that account like it's a big, juicy steak. What can you do about it? Join the All Financial Group for their Taxes in Retirement Seminar, Tuesday, August 26th or Thursday, August 28th at Fleming's. They believe a financial plan is not a retirement plan without a tax plan. Fund your retirement, not Uncle Sam's. Reserve your spot today by calling 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Today, the Cards, the Dodgers. Hamlin Total Access 815. Cardinals Radio. 104.1 FM KMOX.
The 3-2 with the runners going, swung on it and drive to right field. But right there is Nootbaar, and that's a Red Bird winner. The Cardinals beat the Dodgers tonight 3-2, and it's fitting that Nootbaar made the catch on the last out after that sensational diving play to retire Mookie Betts for the first out in the 9th inning.
Really good stuff there from John Rooney, the voice of the Cardinals, last night on KMOX, a 3-2 win over the Dodgers with Chris Ranji, Bernie Miklas, producer Matt Pajeski. I'm Tom Ackerman, the Gashouse Gang. We just spent a half hour with Oli Marmol. Bernie, interesting comments across the board from Oli, particularly, I thought, and so did some of our listeners, about as long as Nolan Arenado is healthy, he's going to play at third base. I know that you posted a video recently going the other direction on that they should be creating more opportunities as we get closer to the end of his career. I mean, it's been a quick fall here over the last few years offensively for Arenado.
Listen, I want to, point out the obvious. It's easy for me to say that. I'm not the manager of the Cardinals. And Ollie's in a really tough spot because they're kind of in between a lot of stuff. They've already entered a rebuild. They're putting the emphasis on the future. They're learning more about their younger players. With Chaim Bloom coming aboard, there's no doubt in my mind they'll get even younger as they work their way through this rebuilding process. He's very good at identifying young talent. He's very good at acquiring young talent in trades that may not be as highly regarded as many people believe. So they're going to get younger. And we all know they have a situation in the infield where they want Gorman to play third base. They got to find out whether he can be an average third baseman because, and I think he can, but he needs to play. I mean, people are like very harsh on him. The dude has started like 41, 42 games in the big leagues at third base. You can't pass judgment. That's why he's got to play there. So, And then, the Cardinals have moved J.J. Weatherholt to third base. He can play second, he can play short, but the fact that they moved him to third base now tells me they've got something in mind. My point is just simply pragmatic. You can't put the emphasis on the future, and the future meaning 2026, and play all these guys you really want to play. And a couple of them, Weatherholt's really exciting. I mean, Gorman can be exciting. You can't do it if Arenado's, starting 130, 140 games at third base. You just can't do it. Now, I really mean this sincerely, because I do believe managers have to say no. But again, that's easy for me to say. I tell the story about, I asked Earl Weaver at the Hall of Fame one year. I said, what was that like when you benched Brooks Robinson? And Brooks Robinson was the Stan Musial of Baltimore. I mean, that's the best way I could put it. And Earl Weaver told me, he said, listen, he said, I hated myself as a human being. I absolutely hated Earl Weaver, but I had to do it because it was best for the team. So I called him in the office and I almost cried. It was so hard to tell him, Brooks, I can't play anymore. Well, so we've seen managers do that. However, Earl Weaver was a very powerful manager who called the shots in Baltimore. Now, Oli is not in that position of authority that Earl Weaver was. So that it's probably an unfair comparison. I don't expect Oli Marmol to say anything different than what he told us today. And, he used a phrase that really gets to the heart of the matter, something along the lines of, as long as he's here. All right, that's the key phrase, as long as he's here. Because if the Cardinals want to move this along, they will find a way to extricate themselves, which is a really tough Arenado situation. And it might require ownership to put up a lot of money to give to another team to make a deal. But Oli, I understand what Oli's saying. It's easy for me to disagree with, but yeah, he has been put in a really terrible spot about a situation like this that seems to conflict from where the Cardinals are going philosophically and in terms of their direction.
Would have taken a lot of foresight on Arenado's part during the offseason to accept that Houston deal. And I know the Cardinals were thinking ahead on that and wanted to open up that spot. And in hindsight, it's one of those mistakes that'll end up having some effects on the organization. And it's not, in this case, it's not really their fault, right? It's not the Cardinals' fault that he is still here and they weren't able to give the proper runway to Gorman or whoever else they wanted to play at third. But I mean, to go back to your point, Bernie, I don't know how many managers today would say, all right, that's it. You're sitting for the final 2 months. You'll get sporadic playing time when you come back. Weaver would have done it. I mean, how many guys would do that now? Right.
Right. I think even Tony La Russa, and he's one of the great managers in the history of the game, he would even stay with guys too long. But I understood why. Because, again, it's easy for all of us on the outside to say, well, if I was a manager, that guy, I wouldn't play him. I'd be done with him. You got the human being factor. You also have the clubhouse factor. And, I hate to say this, but I'm pretty sure it's true. I can't even comprehend a Nolan Arenado who has been benched and what that would do to his demeanor, to his state of mind. And he's a guy that tends to kind of flow when things aren't going well. There's some negative energy. He's not trying to be a bad guy. He's just so bothered by his own failure that he gets really down on himself. He burns intensely. So what effect would that have in the clubhouse if he is the leader of the Cardinals? If Oli Marmol said, no, we're not playing you anymore, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. What impact would that do? How would that impact Arenado in terms of, clubhouse presence? How would it impact the younger hitters who might think, boy, that's a terrible way to treat a guy who's a Hall of Famer?
There you go. Yeah.
This is not an easy situation. And I'm going to get back to my other point, which is the biggest point. It's not up to Oli Marmol to solve this problem, and it is a problem. Let's be adults here. It is a problem. It's not up to him to solve it. The solution comes above him, with Chaim Bloom working with ownership to find a way to get this done. And I repeat, it's going to cost a lot of money that you got to forward to the other side to even think about them making a trade for Nolan Arenado. He'll be 35 years old next year. it's a really, really difficult situation.
100%. This is on Heim Bloom's desk now. And when we come back, we will talk about that very transition and more. It is the Gashouse Gang on KMOX. Bernie, before we do that, tell us about Saliga Heating and Cooling.
Well, I would be delighted, Mr. Tom Ackerman. Saliga Heating and Cooling has been taking care of the Mickleses for 16, 17 years. Hey, and we were late to this party because Saliga Heating and Cooling, their family has owned this continuously since 1927. I wish I could count how many St. Louis families the Saliga family's taken care of since 1927. We're going on 100 years here. And, family owned and operated for nearly 100 years. Saliga Heating and Cooling offers free estimates, financing options, still has the best and most trustworthy customer service in St. Louis. I can attest to that. They never try to hustle, never try to upsell, never try to talk you into anything. In our experience, and I've said this many times, and I love to repeat it because it's helpful to know. Saliga always looks for the least expensive solution first, instead of making a sale for a lot more money. And we trust them 100% and their professionalism, their knowledge, all that stuff. One more thing about Saliga Heating and Cooling, this Daikin Comfort dealer, is that I recommend Saliga's Priority Club. We're in it, or I wouldn't recommend it. And it's a maintenance plan that will save you money by extending the life of your current equipment. So check that out. Go online. You can find out everything you need to know at SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Thank you.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Paid for by Action Matters. Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
Attention parents of children who have used the gaming platform known as Roblox. If your child was a victim of sexual abuse or harm of any kind while using the Roblox platform, you may be entitled to compensation. Roblox is facing multiple high-profile lawsuits, including an ongoing class action, alleging it failed to protect users from foreseeable dangers that led to the grooming, exploitation, and sexual abuse of minors on the platform. Claims allege Roblox turned a blind eye to predators, unsafe games, and deceptive monetization practices that targeted children. Victims were contacted through in-game chats and coerced into private conversations on third-party apps. If you believe your child may have been a victim of grooming, sexual abuse, or harm of any kind while using the Roblox platform, you may be entitled to a cash settlement. Text our helpline now to find out if you have a viable compensation claim against Roblox. Text GONE to 32 32 32. That's GONE to 32 32 32. GONE to 32 32 32.
The KMOX City SC Soccer Showcase, presented by Michelob Ultra. It's the Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill on Lindbergh, Thursday, August 7th. A limited number of fans can get an autograph or a picture with City SC defensive midfielder Jake Gerwood Reich. Register to win great prizes, enjoy great food and a cold drink. Hot Shots on Lindbergh, the place to be, Thursday, August 7th from 6 till 8 p.m. for the City SC Soccer Showcase, presented by Michelob Ultra. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Mark Cantor at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I take this very seriously. Mark is a great attorney. He has a great team. He is from St. Louis. He is local. Call 314-628-9999 or visit CantorInjuryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-969-0686 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-969-0686. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-969-0686.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here. I want to tell you about 213 Complex, which is available at Supplement Superstores. It is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed.
Here's what it does for me and what it will do for you. Optimizes thyroid function, which gets your metabolism rocking and rolling, helps you with appetite and craving control. All-day focused energy comes with that, plus the reduced cortisol levels helps you get a better night's sleep. So get out to Supplement Superstores, tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They'll knock 30% off the 213 complex. Find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Fairwinds River's Edge is more than a place to live, it's a place to belong. Come see why we have been voted Best Independent Senior Living Community for 4 years in a row by U.S. News & World Report. We think you'll like it here, and the experts agree. Come see us for yourself. Call to schedule a tour and complimentary lunch, or to learn more about our upcoming charity golf tournament benefiting the VFW National Home. Find us online at fairwindsriversedge.com.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling and by Anderson Hospital on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Always good to be with Chris and Bernie and Matt. I'm Tom. It's the Gashouse Gang. Bernie, John Mozeliak on my show Sunday pretty much said the transition is happening. He said, all the big, I don't have any more big decisions. I'm paraphrasing, but no more big decisions to make when it comes to baseball. The trade deadline was the end. So now on Chaim Bloom's desk, a lot of things are starting to happen here. An action plan for September and beyond. We sit here on August 5th. It's on. What is the first agenda, do you think, for Chaim Bloom, the incoming president of baseball operations?
I would think, I mean, I don't know, but, rather than watch the games and deciding I'm going to trade this guy or I'm going to trade. No, I don't think that's on his mind, because the first thing he's got to do is fill out his own staff. Now, what that entails exactly, I don't know, because will he retain some of the people, a couple of the people, more of the people that served under John Mozeliak? What he's got to do is hire a general manager. I mean, he's going to be the president of baseball operations. He wants to have a general manager who is going to help him and share in a lot of the responsibility, do a lot of the legwork. So this will be a critical hire for Chaim Bloom. I think that's got to be first on the list, because then everything flows after that. Another question I have that I don't have the answer to is, have the Cardinals, since Chaim Bloom came aboard, have they pumped more money and more staffing into their analytics department, which was hopelessly outdated by Major League standards? What does he have to do there to get the Cardinals to the place where the smartest teams in baseball are in terms of using analytics to their great benefit? I think they're way behind the times. Maybe they've caught up a little bit, but I would think he would, if they haven't made major changes there quietly, I would think that Chaim Bloom would take a really big look at that, and continue to monitor what's going down in the player development system. But he's already got his guys in place down there. So those are the things that are on my mind. Now, people are going to say, well, what about the manager? Well, what's the point of speculating on that? Okay. You may want the manager fired. Our job is to analyze. I was asked, what will Chaim Bloom do?
Right.
If he wants to change the manager, he'll change the manager. It's as simple as that.
That's later.
I'm sorry, Ron.
That's later. Yeah.
Look, I know we don't have enough time to solve this problem, but I can't help but thinking, even though we don't really know the percentage of influence Bloom had at the deadline, doesn't it almost feel like all of these calls should have been his final say, because he's inheriting this and now he has to move forward with it, unless he was on board with every single move. I just wonder if he should not have been, and maybe he was, but maybe these all shouldn't have been his final say.
Well, I agree with you, but I sense have learned talking to some people that Chaim Bloom, in terms of trading some people off the roster down, there's interest in some of their players. He thinks the winter is the best time to do that. You've got more time. You can talk to more teams. You can work on it. You're not under a rush.
Absolutely.
And Chaim Bloom is very respected within the industry, and he'll have a lot of conversations. Those conversations are best suited for the offseason.
We always love our conversations. We'll get him on this show at some point. Thanks for joining us.
Better get to work on that, Tom.
I'm on it already. On KMOX.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint.